Well, it says I'm live, but I don't know how to get the chat up. Well, looks like I'm live. So I'm trying to work out where I find chat. Hey, hey, hey. So Pomp, if you're there, am I appearing live? Because I don't know that this is working. I don't know. So interesting, but we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. See, it's still saying scheduled on. Oh, hello. I don't know if I'm actually being seen by anyone or heard by anyone. Um, there was two live things showing up on my hello, hello. I know this is a bit of an awkward start, but I wasn't sure if this had actually gone live because thank you, Michael. Excellent. Hello, fantastic. Thank you. For whatever reason, whatever I've done, I've managed to set two lives to schedule on YouTube. So one is the StreamYard one, and I think I've managed to do one on um, YouTube for some reason. So I don't know which one's actually going out. The StreamYard one is the one we're on. So I'm hoping that's the one that everyone else will get to see. Anyway, welcome everybody, and thank you for joining me. 1 year, 1 year. Hi, so Spookfest. Hello, Ryan. How you going? Yeah, 1 year. It's hard to believe that I took the plunge and decided to set up a YouTube channel. Uh, I don't know why. I really don't know why, but um, it's uh, it's been a process. I've enjoyed it. I have enjoyed it. Thanks for the sub there, Ryan. Thanks. So, seeing as you've kind of mentioned that there, the new channel, we'll get that out of the way. The idea behind the new channel, SamHain's Scotland, is that I wanted to look deeper, or I wanted to give everyone a deeper idea of why I got around to writing the stories and the places that have inspired me to write these stories. For instance, the fairy tree, the story that I put out there about the fairy tree of Aberfoyle. Now that's a real place, and it's somewhere I've been going to since I was a kid. In fact, the last story, the Raven of Rest Harrow, is based on a real cottage, Rest Harrow Cottage, which is in Aberfoyle. and that's where I used to go to as a kid. When I was in the boys' brigade, that's where they used to take us away. Um, Thank you, Pop. Thank you. It's it's a face. It certainly is a face. And thank you to the folks subbing to the new channel as well. I will get there with it. I do have a promo for the channel ready to um, record the audio for it. I've got some bits and pieces of film film for it. So I've been out to Aberfoyle and I've kind of taken some bits and pieces. So um, we've got Wisdom in the house. Hi, Wisdom. Hello, Canada's Dark Haunted History. Hope you're all doing well today, tonight, this evening, whichever it may be. Um, if I am speaking too fast, please let me know and I will slow down. I am a bit of a Scotsman in that sense that I do ramble and I need to remember to slow down and put on the old Samhain deep voice and speak to you a bit more mysterious like. Evening, Kate. How are you? How are you? So this is all new to me, folks. So please bear with me if it does seem that I'm rambling slightly. I do have notes, but whether I actually look at the notes or not is going to be a different story. So anyway, welcome everyone, and thank you for joining me on the 1 year anniversary of setting up SamHain's Campfire Chills. Now I've been watching YouTube for years and years and years. Uh, I don't have a wee dram. I wasn't sure about drinking on screen. However, I'm a Southern Comfort man. I do have some expensive whiskey here in the house that have been given to me, but I try not to touch it. um, Sherry Ann, hello, welcome in. It's good to see so many folk coming along for this. It's strange being a channel that makes videos on stories and isn't live. And I've started doing the premieres, but it's strange actually seeing people in chats and speaking to people in chats as the creator, as opposed to just some guy who was in other chats and YouTube and stuff like that. So it is good to see people here. Um, I often wonder who it is that watches these videos and why you find them so fascinating. Um, I'm I, I'm the world's worst for putting myself down. I've got to admit that I've been told that many times. I've been told that many times, but I do my best, and I've always enjoyed telling stories. So let's get some sort of structure back to this. I know I've rambled, but this first part I wanted to say hellos. I wasn't actually sure if I was going to get anybody in, so it's great to have you all here. I did have a welcome uh, prepared. I was going to read it in the voice of Sam Hain, but so Sam Hain is a character. And just to clarify, that's the way, as you see just above my head here, Sam Hain, but it's pronounced in Scots Gaelic as Samhain, and I think it's similar in Irish Gaelic as well as Samhain. And it is a festival, so it's a Celtic festival, pagan festival, and it is to mark the end of the harvest. So essentially, the pagan New Year. So harvest starts on the Mystic Memo. Hi, you're welcome. You're not that late at all. Um, yeah, wisdom. So yep. Sowing. Um, so it was. It started on the evening of the last. I'm rambling here, thinking does October have 30 days or 31 days? Um, so it starts on the evening of the 31st, the end of harvest, and going into the 1st of November, and that was the celebration time. And it also is said that's the time that the veil between worlds starts to thin. So the idea of Halloween came from that, where spirits were then able to join the earthly realm and visit loved ones or get up to mischief if they were that way inclined. Um, so that's how the roughly how the Samhain festival came about and eventually turned into Halloween. I did. I don't know if I said the rambling bit there, but yeah, I have practiced this a couple of times this afternoon. But when you get live and you're not sure that you're not just talking to yourself, it's difficult. So hats off to all of you, to all you guys out there, uh, that do lives, because this is new. This is new to me. As I said before, it's all about just making. If I can make people enjoy something that I do, then I'm happy to do that. So what I'll do is I will read the kind of thing that I've written for the welcome, uh, just to say a thank you to all you guys as well. So uh, let's get into the SamHain voice and see if I can bring some of that in. Welcome, wanderers, and happy anniversary. Tonight we mark 1 year since the first tale was told around this fire. A year of shadows, folklore, and warnings, whispered into the night. You've gathered here again, not just as listeners, but as part of this growing circle of the strange. Tonight we celebrate with stories, with secrets, and with the voices of the campfire itself. Hey, so there you go. There's a wee bit from Sam Hain himself. Uh, so how did I want to do, or why did I want to do this? How did I get into this? For 30 something years, and I know, yep, I've been around for quite a while. So for 30 something years, I've been involved in working with young people. From the age of 19, uh, I was brought up in a large family. My mum was a counsellor, so she worked with troubled youths and helped them. She worked for an organisation called the Royal Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Children. Later became, in Scotland anyway, later became Children First. I think it became Children First maybe throughout the whole UK. Anyway, my mum back in the day when I was a young teen, uh, she a trained counsellor. She was a mental health, and then became a trained counsellor for the RSPCC. So um, I would probably be classed as a little tearaway when I was a young teen as well. So what would happen to me is there was a camp in the border region of Scotland down towards a place called Peebles, which is along the Tweed, heading down to towards Berwick. And one of my mum's colleagues, who was based in Edinburgh, ran a camp for troubled kids, and I was sent there as a junior leader to help out at the age of 14. Um, at that point, I'd been in trouble a couple of times myself in school, so it was my mum's way of saying, "Get a grip of yourself, son," uh, and it worked. I loved it. It was run by a lovely chap called Jimmy Skinner. He was an ex-army PT, so he was an ex-army physical trainer, and he certainly whipped us all into shape. And that's where the love. It was an outdoor based in cabins out in the middle of a field in the borders of Scotland, and there was farmland surrounding us, but we were in the middle of a farmer's field, surrounded in trees. Just well, I say the middle, at the very end of the field, surrounded by the trees. This camp was, and we would go there for the whole summer. Well, I would go there for the whole summer. The groups of young people would come from various locations at different points for a week at a time. So I was there. Boy, hi, Dragon Ranger. Hello, hello, Laura. How you doing? I need to remember I'm not just rambling here. I need to watch chat as well. So really multitasking here. Um, welcome in, everybody. Welcome in. And if anybody I miss anybody, then my apologies. I will get used to this. Pinky, hello. How are you? Yeah. So at this camp, we were taught outdoor stuff. Dragon Ranger, good to see you, my friend. Um, and Jimmy, he took the junior leaders and his staff to begin with, and taught us bits and pieces, and how to put up a tent, how to build a fire, how to light the fire, how to survive in the wilderness. And in turn, we would then, as the groups came along, we would assist. Me being 14 would assist with the groups along with one of the adult leaders, and that's how I get into this. And eventually, as I said, by the age of 19, I was involved in, when I left secondary school, high school. I stayed involved with the youth groups of the school and went back helping the new starts. And it went from there. I then got a job in behaviour support through that, through doing the school. Job behaviour support in primary schools, working with more troubled kids. And it kind of went from there. Uh, I took on various other proper jobs, full time jobs, in that gap to supplement it, because let's face it, it's not the best paid um, career out there working with young people. So this went on for years, teaching outdoor skills, help running the Duke Edinburgh Award scheme for youth groups and school groups. I spent some time over in America, um, from the age of, when what 23, when I first went over to America, teaching outdoor to groups of kids through the, what were they called, Board of Education. I think that's what they were called. Based in New York. So we took kids from the Bronx, Harlem, Queens, places like that, out to an area just at the bottom of Bear Mountain, or close to Bear Mountain. Uh, I'm struggling. Harriman State Park. Harriman State Park. That's what the name of it. So we went there, and so I spent a couple of years there, teaching outdoor skills uh, for the American Board of Education. That was fun. That was a really good job. Again, it was very little pay, but that's not why we were doing it. But and heavily involved in a boys' brigade when I was younger as well, having joined the boys' brigade and then becoming a leader in the boys' brigade. Yeah, worked in schools, and then 16 years ago, I joined the Army Cadet Force, and became an instructor with the Army Cadet Force, and just retired from there last last February due to illness. I unfortunately have now got Crohn's disease and type 2 diabetes. I'm a Scotsman. Hey, Scotsman, we're bound to have diabetes. And no, I don't eat fried Mars bars. That's disgusting. Um, John Boy Patton, thank you. Billy Conley, that's good company to be in, although I don't swear even half as much as he does. But yeah, so that's a bit about my background. Feel free to ask more if you wish. I am going to throw in a Q&A as well. So if anybody wants to know any more, but I just thought I would give you that brief introduction as to who this guy is that you see in the chats. He's not actually called Sam Hain. His real name's Andy, and this is his face. So actually, um, when I started the channel, I had the name. The name Sam Hain was kicking about my head for a while, because I I do little doodles. I draw things, and I like to draw some of the kind of more gothic type of things. And the name Sam Haines stuck. I like that idea of drawing under this assumed character. I have sold paintings of my own, although again I don't know why folk would want to buy them, but hey, they do. And so I had that name there. So when I thought about doing the stories, which were, I've always told stories, and as I explained, where my camping background, where my outdoor background comes from, it's part of the culture. You tell stories around the campfire. So I would be involved in that as a kid, listening to those stories, taking those stories when I then became an instructor, and passing these stories on round the campfires. So it was just natural that when I came to do a YouTube channel, it had to be that, because I'm not a music guy. I don't play music. I don't sing. I don't do all that kind of stuff. So the idea of a faceless channel suited me at that time. It still kind of does, but I think I'm getting more used to it. The second channel, um, you'll probably see me more because that is going to be more of an out on location. So the Samhain Campfire Chills, the original idea for it was to get out and actually sit around the campfire. I've not been able to do that equipment wise. I'm still trying to build that. I didn't think it would be um, as difficult to build up the equipment to get the equipment. All coming off my full time job, my wages, the job I'm doing just now. So everything that I'm paying for just now is coming off of that. So I don't always have the expendable income to buy equipment. So I'll do my best. Um, yeah. So the telling the campfire stories, I've never written them down. I'd never written them down. Most of them are made up on the spot, depending on the location we were sitting in. So when I started looking at where I would get material from for the stories, the first few stories that went up, the first few videos went up were from the campfire stories I used to tell. My best um, recollection of them because, as I said, I'd never written them down. Then I started looking into ideas of, well, if I'm pretending, reading around the fire, if I'm pretending something happened here, why don't I look into to see if anything did happen in these locations? So yeah, I found the folklore. So the Bavanshee, the Scottish banshee, um, the old washerwoman, uh, vampire type. We've got the Gilly Doo, who is the chap that appeared in the last story, Raven of Rescaro. Uh, he is the guardian of the forest, similar but similar to what Justin was talking about in his podcast on Monday with his guest. To the Green Man, however, slightly different from that. The Green Man was more of a deity, more of that figure that was just appeared on buildings, whereas the Gilly is not a deity, not a king, not he was just seen as a guardian. So there's a lot around that. So the other thing was with the amount of time I've spent in Aberfoyle, the fairy tree. So looking into the fairy folklore or the fae, all that kind of stuff as well. So I was aware of the fairy tree. So then that story came about. So while I was writing that story, I came up with the idea of why don't I tell the lore behind that? Because there's a lot of actual lore around the fairy tree and the local minister who is said to have upset the fae in some of his writings and supposedly exposing them. And I'm not giving too much away because that is going to be my first video on the new channel. So if you want to know about that, join SamHain's Scotland, and hopefully that will be out soon. Um, so anyway, I've rambled enough. So uh, what are folks saying in the chat? Hello to anybody I may have missed. Joe the Music, hello to yourself. I did see you coming in there, and hello. Uh, See, I'm in good company when it comes to diabetes. A few folk there are sufferers. I think it comes with age as well, doesn't it? It comes with age. So, does anyone have any questions that they might want to ask? Feel free to throw them out there. Um, I'll answer just about anything. There may be some things that, depending on what you ask, I might not answer, but I'll do my best to answer whatever I can. Pinky, thank you. I'm glad you like the stories. I'm never sure how things like that come across because I write them and I play about with them and then I throw them out and I think, yeah, they might have been okay for 12, 13, and 14-year-olds sitting around a campfire, but are adults actually going to enjoy them and going to read them or listen to them? Um, so that reminds me, actually, I see Pomp's question. That reminded me of why I was rambling on about the origins of Sam Hain because I've actually going to show you. So the fire, I haven't yet worked out how to um, do this StreamYard business. So getting the image behind me that I've got was a major coup for me. So if I could have worked out how to put video on here in time, I would have had the fire in the background with the sound. But maybe next time. Maybe next time. Um, okay, so yeah, what I'll do is, so when I had the idea for SamHain's Campfire Chills, I also had the idea for Samhain of what I wanted him to look like, and I have put a video out about the origins of Samhain. So if you listen to that video, you'll get an idea of where in my head Samhain came from. However, I do have this chap. This is what I wanted him to look like. So this is who Samhain. This is who Samhain was going to be on the videos if he appeared on the videos, and might still. But again, it was just a character. It was just a character set up to read the stories, because that way I could be anonymous if it all failed. um, yes, so Pomp again, the cabin. So if anyone has seen my recent story, Rest Harrow, the Raven of Rest Harrow, as I alluded to there, the cottage itself, Rest Harrow Cottage, is a real, or sorry, was a real place. It was a cottage I used to go to originally, and while I was in the Boys Brigade. It was owned by a local church, and the Boys Brigade I was attached to was in that church, and we used to go there for weekends. And there's a hill called Ben Ann, and just at the Trossachs, which is on Loch Ackery, which is featured in the story as well, which is just along from um, Aberfoyle. So all the area that I've spent my time in. Um, and we used to hike Ben Ann. We used to do it for charity and stuff. This cottage was around for decades and for even longer. And as mentioned in the story, no one knows where the name came from. The 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 church that kind of looked after it or ran it didn't know. It was named for somewhere before that as well. Um, and it was a typical old, not quite a bothy. It was a kind of a stone structure, but mainly corrugated iron round the outside for added insulation. There was no electricity, no heating, so it was all gas lanterns, and it was open fires for the heating. There was even an old agger that we done our cooking on. It was an amazing place. So as I was getting into the youth club stuff, the church were no longer in a position to look after it. So I got together with some of the people I was doing. I was in my 20s by this point, and we decided to take it on. So we took over the lease from the church. We paid them a stipend, and so it was like £99 for 100 years, I think was the deal. So we were basically paying virtually nothing. So we gave them £100 donation, and we got to look after the cottage. We repaired the flooring, uh, repaired a lot of the wooden beds and stuff that were built by previous church members for decades ago. So we done all those repairs. I used to take groups up there. So we would take school football teams, youth clubs, and I would teach them the camping and outdoor stuff. One of the people that were in helping me along was a teacher, a PE teacher, um, and we had various people within the kind of outdoor realm come and help us, and we would teach them camping, uh, do a bit of raft building, to team building skills, all that wonderful stuff. However, I think it's gone back. It'll be about 17 years now. I was away my first weekend with the Army Cadets. I hadn't long joined. I was doing a training weekend with the Army Cadets, and I got a phone call from a local bed and breakfast who we tied in with when we were up there, and they informed me that the place had gone up in smoke the night before. So someone had broken in and unfortunately had burnt the place down, which was devastating. I was in the middle of getting charitable status so that we could run the place properly, and which incidentally came in about 3 weeks after the place burnt down. So we didn't quite have all the paperwork signed, so we weren't properly insured. But someone had broken in, and whether it be through carelessness or whatever, the place was burnt to the ground. The only thing that stood was the chimney. So this large stone chimney is the only thing that stood. And as I said, I lost all my equipment, all the tents that I'd managed to get a hold of, all the outdoor gear, everything we were using for the team building, everything was all stored up there. It was just easier than trying to ferry things back and forward. So yeah, that was devastating. So that kind of writing that story brought up a few memories, and it's probably why it took me near enough a month to get that story out because I kept changing it. Um, I kept changing how the story went along. It was originally along the lines of um, people being careless with the land and the devastation of the cottage after, but I changed it away from there. And the the careless people were given a figure, and that being the raven, who then became a guardian of sorts. It's yeah, it's so it was tough to write. It was tough to write that one. I also saw a question there from Joe the Music. What was the scariest thing you've experienced while camping? Well, when it comes to the paranormal and all that kind of stuff, I've always been skeptic. I always am skeptic. I watched these videos and of these groups that we often mention in other chats for pure entertainment. I never believed a word of it to begin with. So when I'm out camping and things like that, I don't think about these things. However, there are noises that you hear in the forest. There are other people walking about. But the scariest thing I've ever experienced was my own fault, and that was almost setting myself on fire. Uh, yeah, I've mentioned this before. I think on Sarah's, burnt my fingers a few times, but there have been occasions where I've done silly things around fires and almost blew up a petrol can at one point while it was in my hand. So things like that, I find scary. However, when I'm out in the forest, uh, I'm so at ease with it, so comfortable with it that as I said, if I hear a noise, it'll be an animal. It'll be a deer. It'll be a branch snapping off a tree because the deadwood falls. So I've never kind of experienced anything that I can't explain or won't explain, or anything that's got me fearful. I still go out camping from time to time, not as often due to the Crohn's disease. Sometimes I need to be near facilities. Um, so yeah, unfortunately, I don't. And I do watch a lot of these camping videos where folk will see all these spooky stuff, and no, no, I'm not with that kind of thing. So sorry if that disappoints, but not to say that if things happened, I wouldn't go and look or explain, but nothing that would frighten me. Certainly, people frighten me more than anything else. So if people came along and invaded the campsite, um, then that would probably frighten me a bit more. I'm sorry, as I said, I'm not good at this reading the chat and doing all this talking stuff. I'm not used to kind of doing that. I do talk on video conferences and stuff during work and things. That's different. I don't have to follow a chat, so I'm maybe missing questions for people. Feel free to ask them again. Um, Michael Burkeen, I see yours. How long does it take you to edit your videos? Recently, a bit longer. The Raven of Rest Harrow video, for instance, that was a longer story. In an effort to get the premieres out, I'm wanting to give you guys a longer story so that you can sit there for half an hour. But the Raven of Rest Harrow was 58 minutes long when I'd recorded it. So I cut quite a bit out of it. So that video alone took about a week and a half to get to what I've eventually put up. So I'd recorded the audio, I'd got that out of the way first. And then I was editing the audio. So that was me just dropping my pen. Edited the audio and decided that parts of the story didn't, they looked okay on paper, but as I was hearing it back, it didn't seem to fit. So there was bits about um, things being destroyed by floods and weather that I took out because I didn't think it fitted with the story. I just felt the story was too long and was going places. on average, I usually work on a story. If I've got a story out on the Monday, every Monday was my target to go to put a story out. I'd be working on the finishing the video at the weekend, and as soon as that was finished and scheduled for the Monday, I'd be working on the next one. Uh, so roughly from writing it to coming up with it, what I wanted visuals wise, you're talking the best part of a week. Sometimes I was pushing it to the schedule to actually get it uploaded. Um, I was fortunate enough or unfortunate, depending how you look at it. Last November, December into January. So from say November through to um, January, the end of January, February last year, I was off work. Unfortunately, I had issues with my Crohn's and I was off work. But what that did allow me to do, because I already set up the channel, was hash out some ideas. So I had all that spare time to look at ideas for stories, look at the myths and the legends and the folklore, and decide which ones I wanted to start writing for. So a lot of the stories I've put up recently are from that period. So from the end of last year into the beginning of this year, where I then had the ideas that I had to hash out into longer stories. Um, so that was a bonus. So at the moment, we're looking at a week to produce a 10-minute video. But with me wanting to do longer videos for you guys, because I thought at 10 minutes attention span, I think is good to ask somebody who not used to this guy telling stories. My accent isn't the best for the majority of my viewers because according to the analytics, the majority of you guys are from America. Um, I know I've got some from all over in here, but so it's trying to work on all that. So at the moment, then Michael, about a week, because I already have a lot. I'd already had a lot of the stories written, so I would then pick one to record. I would tweak it slightly, record the audio, and then the rest of the time was learning how to edit. Um, I use CapCut, and I know there's a lot of issues with CapCut, but I find it straightforward and easy. And to be honest with you, I'm not at a stage where they'd want to take my content and use it for their own monetary gain. So I think I'm safe. They'd be daft to do that anyway. CapCut would be daft to do that because they'd lose a lot of people. It's a big money business for them. Um, so what I'm finding with the now that I've exhausted a lot of those, I've still got a few story ideas there, but nothing written. So I've got ideas there of what I want to write stories about. I come up with things all the time, and to do the longer videos, I'm looking at. It, I'm working on some just now. So I'm putting out videos and working on the longer stories for the 30-minute premieres. So they could be taking 2 weeks or more to kind of get edited together. But now I've exhausted the stuff that I'd pre-written, uh, and I'm down to bare bones of ideas that I've got. I don't know. I don't know how long it's going to take me to write. I'm not a professional author. I just have ideas. I write them down, and I will kind of feed them through AI to get them ready for YouTube, um, just to kind of get that horror feel, um, and to put it across a time limit for script wise to fit in with that 10 to 15 minutes. So um, yeah, I hope this isn't too disjointed for people. I realise that I'm probably hours behind the chat, but that seems to be the way of things. That I also see their comment, Michael, about the mask. What I was worried about the mask is whether it comes across in the mic, if it comes across too muffled in the mic. So to try all that because the idea for that was I was going to be sitting around the campfire as Sam Hain, the character, and reading the stories, and that's what the mask was for. But because I was doing it with just using the visuals, I kind of hadn't looked into that. So you may see it. Uh, the voice, I do lower my voice, and I usually record the stories at night. So that way I become aware of the silence round about me, and then I can lower the voice. and I can work on how my presenting of the voice comes across. Um, and then maybe tweak it slightly as I go before I get the final product. So I don't know how I don't know how the mask um, will affect that. Whether it's going to muffle too much of it out. Um, so uh, I know I'm horrible at this chat thing, so I hope you all forgive me for that. Um, there's an interesting one. So, Pop, I see yours. Dog Soldiers were filmed in Scotland, wasn't it? Well, actually, no. Only parts of it were filmed in Scotland, and I mean small parts. The rest of it, no, I didn't know the exact place, but the rest, I think, was over in the Netherlands, possibly. I'm just going to double check that. I did know that. Um, but no, it's not filmed entirely in Scotland. There's only small bits, but the forest scenes and the cottage that we're in were all filmed. And I'm going to say um, the Netherlands somewhere, but I'll find out. Um, hmm, I did have that, but can't remember. But no, it wasn't entirely filmed in Scotland. Uh, okay, so what I've done is I've dropped to the bottom of the chat because I didn't know where I was in this. So if anyone's got any questions for me, feel free to file them through. Um, I hope you're not bored. Uh, it's good. It really is good to see so many of you on here. Um, but yeah, so open to you guys now. I've rambled on enough. What other questions do you have? What questions have I missed that you may want an answer to? Whether it be about how I come up with stories, uh, where I get the ideas from, all that kind of stuff. I've kind of touched on that, but incidentally, a lot of the characters in the story um, are based. A lot of the characters in the stories are based on, and the names come from people I know, uh, or people I've worked with. So a lot of the young characters that are in the stories are based around cadets that I've worked with. Um, and if they ever saw this, they'd recognise themselves in the stories. Names may be changed, but the characters are the same. Some of the names that I've used in it earlier stories as well. So a lot of the stories do come from um, experiences that I've added in to beef out the folklore and things like that. Like there's a story out there about Mugduck Park. Now, there is a gun battle site in Mugduck Park that was used during the World War II to defend Glasgow from the bombers and to defend Clydebank mainly from the bombers, the German bombers, because Clydebank was a shipbuilding industry back then. So there is a gun embattlement there, and it was in the story. I mention it being used for devil worship and stuff. There was, but only a couple of incidences where folk had been up there and were using it for nefarious purposes. Um, and that's a story I used to tell because we used to camp in that area, Mugduck Park. Um, it's a beautiful area to camp in. You can see the Campsie Hills, which incidentally I now live beside. Um, and it's part of the West Highland Way. So part of the West Highland Way goes through Mugduck Park and the Campsies and along that area. So there's lots of stories to choose from there. But yeah, the gun battlement site was something I used to go to and tell stories about quite a lot. Um, Sam tells me, Pomp, that Nessie was a pet for a while. He said that there's a slight falling out over missing fishermen. I don't know what the story is there, but hey ho. But no, Andy does not believe in Nessie. Sam might, but Andy doesn't. Um, okay, I'm trying to see if there was any questions that I've missed in the chat, folks. Again, all I can say is thank you so much for the fact that you guys have come along and spent this night with me for 1 year since the 1 year, 24th of September 2024 is when the first video went up. It was a channel introduction, which I've since taken down. So the 29th, I think it was when the first official Sam story went out. but I had to do it on the 24th because that was when the channel was born. Um, so yeah, it's been fun. I do enjoy it. I do. It can be difficult at times, and all you creators out there, the ones that are in the chat, you know what it's like trying to kind of come up with stuff and trying to come up with fictional stories is harder than I thought it was going to be. I thought it would just be using my imagination to tell the stories like I used to tell them, but it's different. It is different. It's different when there's no one sitting in front of you around the fire to scare the wits out of. Um, but that's it. Um, what I wanted to do as well is I wanted to kind of briefly speak about SamHain's Scotland. I know I mentioned it at the beginning, but I do want that channel to be more of a look into where my stories came from. So I will tie in the stories on this channel with the videos I'm putting up on SamHain's Scotland. For instance, the first story is going to be about the fairy tree of Aberfoyle. So I'm going to look into the story behind the local minister at the time, who wrote a book about the Fae and basically outed them, said they were walking among people in Aberfoyle. They were, it's all going to be in the story, so I don't want to give too much away. Um, so it is a real story. Well, it's allegedly a real story. He is real. The minister that I'm going to talk about is real. He did write a book about the Fae. He did believe in the thinning of the veil between. He was quite a character back in the day, and he is buried in Aberfoyle. However, people do say that his grave is empty and the Fae have him. But we'll leave that at that. We'll leave that as a teaser for the first story that's going up on SamHain's Scotland. Now, bear with me with that channel. I've got the channel up and running, as in I've got the channel made. It's there. I'm hoping to put out um, a channel introduction. I've got the visuals there for that, so it's all footage that I've filmed in Aberfoyle. I've got a couple of things I want to get for it. At this stage, I'm just going to record a voiceover for it, and then I've got a shooting schedule. Getting all professional here. I've got a shooting schedule set up for the the folklore story behind the fairy tree. So I hope to get out and I want to video certain locations. But again, all I've really got at the moment is I do have some. I need to dig it out. I do have a digital camcorder somewhere, but it's an older thing. Probably not that great. My phone, but I don't have any sound equipment, so I don't know how it's going to go. So bear with me. That's why I was kind of putting it off. Um, if I can get a decent audio, I will do that, and I will appear on camera telling the folklore, tying it into the story eventually, and both channels will bounce off each other. So you'll find that videos that I'm hoping to bring out soon on this channel will be more folklore based, so that I can then tie them into the story behind them, and where I get my inspiration from, on SamHain's Scotland channel. Almost like a behind the scenes kind of look at how my stories are born. It's ambitious. I think it's ambitious. I've wanted to do it for a while now, but we'll see how that goes. So bear with me. That'll be coming soon, and please go over to that channel and hit subscribe. I promise I will. The aim is that the video will go out. Hopefully, I'll have it finished this weekend, and I'll get it out. Now, here's a question I want to ask you guys. Uh, oh, Pomp, yeah, definitely. Sam Hain would have stood beside William Wallace and Rob Roy McGregor as well. Rob Roy McGregor is from the area that all my folklore stuff's based in, from Aberfoyle, Balkidder, things like that. Rob Roy's grave is not far from there as well. So you may see a story or two on SamHain's Scotland about Rob Roy McGregor. But yeah, Sam Hain would have stood beside William Wallace without a doubt. He'd have been his jester probably. um, what was I saying? Yeah, so bear with me with that channel. So the question I've got for you guys then, I don't want to keep you too long. I think maybe I was aiming for an hour. I don't want to bore the tears out of you guys and stuff like that. But the question I've got for you guys is then, if I slow down the videos that I put out, so instead of aiming for 1 week, Shep, hello, good to see you, good to have you in. And Sue, if you're there as well, hello, sorry, Sue. Um, so if at the moment I'm trying to get my videos out every week, and as I say, that is now becoming difficult because I'm wanting to write better stories for you guys, and to do that, I might have to take a bit more time to write, and then that's going to be a bit more time to edit because I'm now doing longer videos. So what do you guys think? Would you be happy if I was making them every 2 weeks, which might give me a time to get the story out? Because the visuals, I I strive to find the best visual that fits the story, instead of putting any old stuff out. And I've always got this in my head of it being like a motion picture, so it's not just one static. If you've seen the videos, you'll know what I'm talking about. The campfire one that I have, I toyed with the idea of just having the campfire, just my voice, but visually it's not that. Visually, it's not that attention grabbing. Just having that, so I want the visuals to change. I want it to be more in time with the story. That takes a while. I've kind of got the hang of this editing thing. I think I'm getting there. I'm learning new things every time. I'm still on YouTube. I'm learning new video techniques, new editing techniques. Trying to add more things in to keep you guys interested. Because what I'm finding as well is with the subscriber count I've got, I'm only getting, and I don't mean only, but 23, 24 views is what the videos that we're getting. We're stepping up a little bit now. Um, and I don't know if that's because they're not visually stimulating. They're not visually stimulating enough the videos. So I want to work on that. I want to work on that for you guys because you're here. You've been here. There's 24, 25 you watching the videos every week. And I love that. I never knew that I would even get one person watching the videos. So that's who I'm making my videos for. Um, every creator will tell you though they want to reach more. I think they want to reach more. But if I never reach any more, then I'm happy. But what I do want to do is I want to make it the best viewing um, pleasure for you guys. I really do. I want to do it the best. But what that might mean is, especially now that I've got the second channel, is that I might have to kind of take a little bit longer to get the stories out. And I think I've fallen into the trap that YouTube set of making you be consistent. You have to be out at a consistent time, every single week on the same day at the same time, um, putting out more videos if you can. There's no way I could do 2 stories a week, unless I'd written a, a bigger story and then chop it into and do it like in 2 parts. So like the Raven of Rest Harrow, I could have split it up into 2 20-minute videos, one in the Monday, one in the Thursday or Friday, or one in the Wednesday, whenever. So that could have been an option. But if I have to give out quality content to you guys, I may have to look at taking my time because I don't want to rush the videos and burning out, or rushing the videos and they are not great quality. I want to do more with the editing. I want to do more with the images. Um, I want to make the videos more like a mini movie. I'm a frustrated movie director. I do have a background in audiovisual technology. That's what I done at college. If that kind of gives you guys an idea of where I'm coming from, and it was always in the back of my mind to do something back in the day to do with video and stuff. But yeah, I think I just kind of rushed things to get things out so that I would look consistent and I would get pushed out to things. But in the last few months, I've started to think I'm not that bothered. I'm not that bothered if I don't get pushed out because there's people watching my videos, and that's enough for me. That's enough for me. I know I'm never going to be monetized. It's going to be another 3 years before I get anywhere near 500 subs. And then it's not just the subs; it's the watch time hour, it's the hours, it's the views. I don't. to be honest, I'm quite happy doing what I'm doing. It's keeping me busy now that I'm not. Now that I don't have the cadets twice a week and every weekend, I needed something to do. So I will continue to do the stories. I'll continue to put the stories out. I may have to stop putting them out every week for the time being. Um, I need to get more written. Having that time off work at the end of the year, end of last year, beginning of this year, through illness, as I said, kind of helped. That's when I got the bulk of the stories written that I've put out so far. They've all dried up. So it's time for new stories, time to get out there. I spend a lot of my time. In fact, I've been in a few of Sarah's Saturday Lives from Aberfoyle, getting ideas for stories. So anytime that you've seen me putting in the chat that I'm in a car park, having been to the burger van, I'm in Aberfoyle. I've been in Aberfoyle walking the trails, getting ideas for the stories. Roger Bowen, hello. Good to see you here. Um, and Shep, that's right. You were sea cadets, weren't you? You were sea cadets. So you know exactly what I'm talking about. uh, occasional weekends. It was never an occasional weekend, especially when you're daft enough like me to be part of a lot of the training groups as well and training new adult instructors. So yeah, I was never away from our headquarters. Yeah, that was it. So you never get any free time. Now I've got all this free time. I'm like, what do I do with it? So YouTube was born. um, so that's the plan. There's Just Joe as well. Hello, hello, Just Joe. Um, as long as yeah, I'm the same. I was 16 years when I gave up last year. I think there comes you'll have seen this as well. There are people out there that have been in for 30, 40 years, and I think there's a time where you have to. As I said, I've been a youth worker for I think it's 32 years now, 33 years. It'll be I'm 52 in November. So I was 19 when I started doing youth work, and I think that was long enough. I'm not going to get into too many details, but I'm a civil servant now, so we'll leave that at that. And I think getting away from all that has done me the world of good because you tend to burn out. You get too old and out of touch for the kids, but I loved every minute of it, you know. So if I can now impart some of those stories that I used to scare the youngsters with onto you guys, then I'll keep doing that, and we'll see where it goes from there. But um, I think I will leave you guys to it now. It's almost 9 o'clock. Again, I never expected there to be, I think, with 15 people in there. It's great. It's great. I love it. And you guys are all a very close knit community because we're all from the same groups of creators that we watch. Um, so this community is borrowed from other people. Um, you are now part of the SamHain Campfire, and I appreciate that. And that's the reason I keep going. So thank you. Thank you to each of you. Sorry that I've rambled through this. Um, I think I might do some more lives. We'll see how that goes. And take care. And I'll see you in someone else's live or someone else's premiere. Okay, so thanks a lot for coming along. It's been a pleasure. It's been a great 1 year. And have a good night. Have a good day. Good afternoon, wherever you are. Thank you all. Bye now.